At this halfway point of 2024, I've seen many channels post a best books of the year so far list. Since I've been struggling to find good books this year, I thought I would take a look. Essentially what I'm going to do for this portion of the video is just speedrun a load of these videos, maybe some mid-year freakout tags, because I know that one of the questions relates to the best book that people have read so far this year. I'm just going to note down every book that people mentioned that I already own, just to keep my bank balance above 0 and to stop my shelves from getting filled any more by books I haven't read. Okay, let's get speed running. With all the data now inputted into my computer, it's time to read. I think I have discovered the secret to liking books. Having extremely low expectations. Because I have seen so many mixed reviews about Bride, and I was fully expecting to hate it. But that's not happening. I'm actually having quite a good time so far. And yes, I know the romance element hasn't come in yet, and that definitely could sway my rating, because that is not my thing whatsoever. But for the moment, I'm liking the setup. I'm just hoping that this ends up being good. What on earth am I reading? My camera is running out of battery, so if I get cut off at all, that is why. Hang on, are we still even filming? Yes, we are. Okay. I have some concluding thoughts about Bride, and I must admit they are not overly positive, because my main problem with this book is that after the love interest is introduced, the book kind of goes off the rails up until, I guess, like page 200, but I think a little bit before then. I was quite enjoying this book. I like our narrator, I like our narration style, I think she's interesting, I think this world could be interesting, I think the plot could be interesting, but it's just all sort of there, and I realised that sort of about this point. It's also the point where the romance really picks up, and the problem I had was I don't feel like I knew anything about this man. I don't think I can tell you a discernible personality trait other than that he's allegedly the alpha. I don't really know why. I mean, I know why, I guess, in terms of like political reasons, but I don't know why. Overall, I feel a bit disappointed because I feel like it could have been good, but it's going to end up being a 2.5, like everything I seem to be reading now. I feel like I didn't mention in the clip because my camera was just like totally out of batteries and we had like no batteries in the house. Like, sorry, this bit of hair has just been annoying me all week. The whole sort of like fan fiction lore was just all very strange, but that's probably because I'm just not one of the elite employees. I'm not part of the fan fiction club. Yes, somehow I never had a Wattpad phase. This book was interesting. Like, I truly thought it could be a 1 star. It wasn't. And, like, I don't know what the punchline is. I don't know what you're meant to take from this. I don't know what the moral of the story is. This book was interesting, but that is kind of as far as my thoughts go, because at the time of recording this, it's been like over a month since I read that book, and like I remember bits, and that's it. Currently on holiday in Belgium, so if things start not adding up, that's why. No, I did not finish this book on the train. Since when would I ever be that organised? I finished Boy Parts, and I'm not really sure what I think of it. Well, I can kind of break down my thoughts into like the first 100 pages, which I thought were really good. I thought they set up the story really well. I thought I was going to really enjoy this book. Then this guy from Tesco's gets introduced, and like he was a really boring man, and I really didn't care about him like at all. So I didn't really want to pick up this book from there. I was like not really enjoying it. And then afterwards, it got a bit better, but I still didn't love it. I think I'm going to give it a 3, which is really disappointing because I thought this would be at least a 4-star read because everyone seems to like it, and I thought I would be a part of that demographic as well. But apparently, that's not the case. I think the problem is, this book needed to be darker. Sure, yeah, we have a pretty dark and unhinged narrator, but there's a sort of like dark thing that happens near the end of the book, but I was kind of expecting it throughout the entire book, that when it was mentioned I was kind of like, okay, like I feel like if we had mentioned that earlier, I think it would have been better, because by the time it was mentioned I was kind of like, well yeah, that's what I thought was going to happen. Also, I don't think the side characters were very well developed. I didn't really know who they were besides like an initial introduction. So when we kept catching up with them, I was kind of like, okay, but who are you really? You know? This is this author's first book, so I understand why certain things were as they are, but I was just expecting it to be better than it was, and that is disappointing. Especially since we are 2 for 2 on 3-star reads, which is just annoying. Like, I want to feel something about what I'm reading. To stop reading The Reformatory because I was just getting to a point where I just knew I was going to have to force myself through it, because it was a 500-page book that was extremely slow, and reviews were saying that it wasn't going to speed up until the 70% mark, and I was at the 40%, and I didn't think I could really spend 30% more of the book, and like I was saying, it was a long book, trying to get to the point where it was going to get more fast-paced. I never actually explained to you what this is about. So there's this boy called Robert, and he's black living in the American South. I think he's in Florida. And he kicks a white boy and ends up in this like reformatory place, and there's all sorts of like ghosts and things going on there. There wasn't really much going on there. It was just sort of like setting up things. I think maybe I was missold on this book. I didn't realise it was going to be as slow-paced as it was. I think when you're having to question why it's 500 pages, that's a little bit of a red flag to me. I'm not saying like I'm never going to return to this book, because I may well. I don't know, but at the moment, I think this is wrong book, wrong time, and I will leave it at that and move on to something else. Which is this, because it's like 50 pages long, and I think I'm 16 books behind on my reading goal or something. So if I just read 16 50-page books, then I will catch up. Not that I'm actually going to do that. This is Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke. I think this is literally just a series of letters about creating and writing, and apparently it's meant to be really inspirational. So we will see, shall we? I doubt this is going to take that long to read, although knowing me at the moment, it could take a whole year. But we shall see what happens. See you in a bit. Everything must be carried to term before it is born, to let every impression and the germ of every feeling come to completion inside, in the dark, in the unsayable, the unconscious, in what is unattainable to one's own intellect, and to wait with deep humility and patience for the hour when a new clarity is delivered. That alone is to live as an artist, in the understanding and in one's creative work. These things cannot be measured by time. A year has no meaning, and 10 years are nothing. To be an artist means not to calculate and count, to grow and ripen like a tree which does not hurry the flow of its sap, and stands at ease in the spring gales without fearing that no summer may follow. It will come, but it comes only to those who are patient, who are simply there in their vast, quiet tranquility, as if eternity lay before them. Hi. It's 1 AM and I can't sleep, so of course I'm turning the camera on. I literally haven't had a good night's sleep in about, several months now. And I think I am paying the price for it. I mean, yesterday I did spend the whole entire day just sleeping, well, until about 2 PM or something. But before I go off on a huge tangent, let's talk about Letters to a Young Poet by Rainer Maria Rilke. Now, if you've glimpsed the tabs that I have put into this tiny little book, you can probably tell that I had quite a good time reading this. It did take me quite a long time relative to the size of this little book. I was trying to absorb all of the stuff that Rilke was saying. I was trying to dissect it and think critically. And my conclusions of all this critical thinking I claim I was doing were positive. It was good. I can see myself rereading this in the future. I would have liked this book to feel a bit more complete. I would have liked this to have Capus, I believe that's the other guy. I would have liked to have his letters in here because I feel like that would have built a more complete picture. And I would have known, like, why exactly he wanted this advice and what sort of advice he wanted, you know? Because it's a bit hard when you only have one perspective. Like, obviously, this is the perspective that has all the wisdom and the advice, right? But I would have liked to have the whole picture. And also, there was this one bit when Rilke was talking about, like, bad things happening in your life. There was a nice image regarding Capus and the fact that at first I liked the image of sometimes bad things are happening in your life. They kind of pass through you, they don't change you. But what I didn't like was Rilke then saying that you should kind of like welcome the bad things in your life. I can't remember the exact quote, but it was along the lines of that. To me, a bad thing happening in your life is a bad thing, regardless of whether it changes you or passes through you. I suppose that's not very growth mindset of me, but a bad thing is a bad thing. Like, fundamentally, if your house burns down, you lose everything that is dear to you, you're not going to be saying, oh, well, at least it changed me. That's not how you're going to react to that situation. I didn't like that, but that was like one tiny little nitpick, because aside from that, I did enjoy this. I don't think this is going to be on my list of like best books I read this year, but it's not a tough competition, so I don't know. Sorry, this disheveled little gremlin's back because I didn't tell you about the book I'm currently reading and kind of loving. I mean, I don't think this book is going to be like a favourite of all time because there are some issues with it. It's not incredible literature. That's a bit offensive. It's good. Why am I knocking it? It's like, this is saving me from reading Slump Jail. Like, apparently, all along, it wasn't that I didn't like reading anymore. It's that I wasn't reading the right books. Because this is silly in my brand of silly. It's like Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. But it's like the fantasy version of that, tonally. I mean, it's not the same at all because this is a high fantasy. And that's a mystery stroke thriller. When have I ever said mystery stroke thriller? Anyway, this book is about a young woman called Davy. I guess she's just been like taken out of our world and thrown into this random fantasy world. And she keeps being told that she's gotta save the kingdom from the Dark Lord. But she keeps failing, and whenever she fails, she wakes back up again in the exact same place. Until after about 200 attempts of trying to save the kingdom, she decides, why not just become the Dark Lord? And that's why it's called How to Become the Dark Lord and Die Trying, because she's died a lot. It's just silly. You know, it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's very much kind of taking the mick out of the fantasy genre to a certain extent. I like the narration style, and it's just working for me. It's found me in the right time in my life. I would have much preferred to do a proper update because I think I've only got like 100 pages left. I could probably finish this tomorrow, and I might actually get this video up this week. Like, that's incredible. What a concept. What else do I have to say? Oh yes, it's my birthday next week. It's my birthday in 5 days. Wow. That's come around quickly, because like last year I went to Bath and it was fun, and that does not feel like a year ago. What even is time? I read a book called The Order of Time and I still don't know what time is. Why do I always turn on the camera when I'm losing my mind? Well, well, look who finished a book. Now I am gonna have to be quick with this update because I have to leave the house in like, less than 10 minutes at this point, and I have not finished my tea, nor have I cleaned my teeth, so I need to make this fast. If this is your brand of silly, you're really gonna like it, but if it's not, you're gonna hate it. Which I suppose is like the case with a lot of books. I mean, not the silly part, but obviously like if it's your thing, you're gonna like it. I think especially so with this book. There's definitely going to be things in it that annoy people, but it just was the right tone for me. I would be aware, the first little bit of it, there are so many swear words. I thought this book was written by some of the builders down the road because every other word was like a swear. It seemed like it. And maybe I just got used to it, but I think it got a bit less noticeable by the end. But that may just be I got used to it. I know it is something that bothers people. Aside from that though, like I had a really good time and I just want to say it's a 5 just because of how badly books have been going. But I know just like this is a favourite of the year. This is probably not like an all-time list, you know? I mean, it's like an all-time favourite, but it's not like an all-time favourite, if you know what I mean. I have not been getting enough sleep at the moment, so like if I sound totally incoherent, I'm gonna blame it on the fact that like, I have been sleeping horrendously. Anyway, this is probably a 4.5, but I'm rounding up because I've lost it. And that is subsequently the end of this video. It's been a long one in the making, and I hope if you got to the end that you've enjoyed it. And what should I make you comment? I don't know, just like comment something if you've got to the end. Let me know. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Take care of yourselves, because I have not been taking care of myself.